This is the tutorial for FMTV 360, narrative, film, and TV editing audio. Excuse my voice, as I am sick. This is going to be going through the slides that I originally had for class and really breaking down what I think you should be doing in terms of audio. Obviously, our goals being audio mixing tools and functions. The steps to audio editing. This is what I really want us to focus on in terms of approaching it. We're going to go step by step in this tutorial. The first step is to establish an audio track structure. If you don't have a good audio track structure, your project will flounder because you will be confused. I've said this many times, and this is always going to be step number one. Number two is we will start adding refined sound effects and other elements such as atmospheric sound in a music track. We will perform then our basic mix to create consistent balance levels and eliminate distractions. We will use ducking via keyframes or auto ducking to solve any problems we have and add filters to make any further adjustments to blend and shape sound into a cohesive soundscape. Now the first step, like we said, is to establish an audio track structure. If we don't have a good audio track structure, like I just said 2 minutes ago, our project is going to flounder. Now here's an example. The first 3 tracks in this picture are for dialogue. The next 2, let's say 4 and 5, those are for sound effects. Let me use my mouse here. So these 3, dialogue. These 2, sound effects, and these last 3 are for music. And all of these will be put together and get outputted as one, right? That's the thing about audio, just like video, everything works as one. And I did have this example to show you that I actually really like, and I could encourage you guys to use, is that this audio editor, what they did was that they had kind of like their raw camera audio here, or maybe a main character here. Then they broke it up with an empty layer that they locked, and then they included all additional sound effects here. Once again, they broke it up with another track that they completely just locked, and then they used this for music. Now, my biggest gripe here is I see that they didn't rename their tracks, but I do see over here, I see a mix and FX down here. So everyone's different. Now let's again look at my list here. First step is to establish an audio track structure. So I'm gonna exit out of this and go on over to my Premiere project. Now this is mine. I'm having open scene 11 because this is the one that we're gonna put sound effects and we're gonna put music and tone for this. So structure. Let's look at my structure here. I know I have at least up to 3 tracks of video, which is perfect. So I could go ahead and delete that and delete these 2. I'm not concerned with that. But like we developed in class, I have a Don, I have an Ivan, I have a Leroy, and I have a Moose. Then I have a sound effects and tone and music. I love it. Again, you could go ahead and add a track. We could hover our mouse over here, right click, and add track. And that will put it right in between. And we could just lock this up and kind of give it a break now, right? So now we have a break between our 4 main characters, sound effects and tone, and let's add one more track, lock that one up, and again, make it really small so they act as kind of like these barriers, and that we know, okay, these are our 4 audio, these now are sound effects and tone, and this is music. Great. I've said this in class before that we should have a structure. I put that as our first step, and I'm just starting in my tutorial off like this because if you don't have something like this, I would definitely say, do this really quick and get a structure going so that everything that we do is going to benefit you way, way, way more. So, okay. Now, if I go back to my slides, I see that my next one is add refined sound effects and other elements such as sound and a music track. So let's just add what we know is going to be here now. In this seed, we know that there's going to be bubbles, right, for the hot tub. And we know that they're watching a rugby game. We also know that there's going to be music. So let me go on over now to my sound. All right, so I have my rugby VO that the project itself provided. Now that, what do we think that might be qualified under? Sound effects or tone? Well, now that we know that we're going to be adding stuff, let's refine our track structure even more and add a track for this particular thing. Maybe we'll add it all the way down here after tone. And, oops, I pressed the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Add track. And I'm going to name this one Rugby VO. Great. So now I could insert that right there, and I know that all of this is not my music, other types of sound. So let's listen to this one.
So it's New South Wales.
Perfect. I'm going to start by endpoint there. It's about 2 minutes and 21 seconds, which is great because the end of my sequence over here is about 1 minute and 14. So I can now make sure that I'm toggled here, right? Source patch for inserts and overwrites. A1 to my rugby track, A8. And I don't want to insert it because everything's going to get pushed forward, right? If I go ahead and press comma, everything moves with it. I want it to go directly underneath it. So I'm going to press overwrite, aka period, because nothing will get moved. And now I got my rugby cushioned under this entire scene. Now you see, we're going to get rid of that in a second. But let's come back to this. Okay, so I have that.
So it's New South Wales just outside.
It's way too loud. Now we will be fixing that later. So let's just go on over to our Foley and let's look for our spa. Let's look for our hot tub stuff. I think that's in sound effects. There we go. Okay. So this bit over here is definitely quieter. I might just in and out this really quick. Come over here, put it on tone, and then overwrite up until about the point that he says make it happen, Leroy. Now I know that this is going to go down. The best approach actually, because what's going to happen is that the other hot tub, when it gets louder, is going to happen right after this. So I actually just want this to be lower overall, and I'm going to just press gain, which is actually G on my keyboard. So again, let me cancel that. Select all of this and press G. I'm going to do a quick -9. And now...
So it's New South Wales just outside their own...
Might even want to do a little bit more. So go negative. Now the thing about gate is that if I say -9 again, you see how my set gain changed to -18? Whatever you do, it will add it to that. So since I already had -9, it was going to make it a negative, right? If I go back, it was at -9. The moment I put in -9, it went to -18. So just be careful. So I want to only increase this by maybe -4 to make this -13 dB. And say, okay. And let me solo this. Good. It's somewhere around -24. Now, remember, we did talk about this before. You want your project to be somewhere around -9 over here on our meters. This is what you're really paying attention to. And anything that's bedded underneath the pivotal dialogue that's happening should be around -24. So if I solo this and I look, it's more around -30 than it is around -24, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want it to be. Now, if I still feel that's too loud, I'll just come over here, select the ball, press G, and give it another little boost, -3. Right? Because also, this hot tub right now, it's not really bubbling, but it should have some sort of hot tub effect. So, now we will be lowering the rugby narration, but we're going to be doing this in a different way. So, hold off for adjusting this volume or gain for now. Okay, so that's our tone for this scene. We don't really have any other sound effects. If we wanted to be ambitious, we could put a couple more, maybe of Ivan, but getting into the tub with these beers clanking. But for now, this is fine. Now, whether or not you add music here is up to you. So let's say we do add music. And I'm going to go ahead and add music. I'm going to use this 5th cue. This very sweet little music. I'm going to add this around the time that we look at our main character as he's lost in thought. Right about there. I'll patch it there, and I will overwrite it there. Okay, but now all of this is really noisy, right? They all are not... First of all, I have not yet put all of my characters on their own tracks, and that's going to be done for a very specific reason. And I haven't leveled anything. So if I go back now to my slides there we go, is to perform a basic mix to create consistent balance levels and eliminate distractions. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is listen to these two and start divvying up who speaks on what track.
So what I miss? Taylor got sin bin.
Okay, so Taylor got sin bin, that's Moose. So let's go ahead and hold that down. Select it, hold down Option, and move it with our arrow key. So again, that is hold down Option and move it with the bottom arrow key because I want it to go down. Okay.
Good.
All right, so Ivan's on that track. We're going to move Ivan from here, Option, down arrow to that track.
Because he's an idiot. Because he's an idiot.
Okay. Now let's elongate that because this is kind of going to act as room tone as well, right? So let's just leave that there. If anything, maybe I might use this and roll my edit over until I hear somebody talk. There we go, right? And get rid of that. So it's pretty consistently this level. Okay. So this one's easy in terms of dialogue. We really just have Moose on this track and Ivan on this one. This one over here. Sorry.
Hey, Don. Don.
Oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that.
Hey, Don. You want to try the bubbles?
Okay, one freaking word that Don says right up here. Sure. So that. Let me come a little louder.
Make it happen, Leroy.
Okay. So everybody's on a different track. Now, obviously, you're going to find moments like this throughout this edit. I 100% expect you to eliminate these, so just lower your volume. I do not want to hear any of these type of mic hiccups or transfer hiccups that happen on any of these clips. So please ensure that those are not included. I'm getting a out of sync indication here, so I'm just going to slip this a couple seconds and cool. Okay. Again, I'll move this over, right, so that
New South Wales.
great. Okay, so everybody's on their own track. That's perfect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna overall mix them, right? So what we're gonna use is a tool, and I'll show you my slides for this. So the audio track mixer contains a certain number of audio track sliders that directly correspond to the number of audio tracks available in your timeline. So when you add a new audio track to the timeline, it's also created in your track mixer, and you could do everything that you could do on the timeline in this track mixer. Okay, this represents the tracks in the active sequence only, not all project-wide tracks. Could get confusing because we have the same track structure among many sequences here, but that's also why we want to apply everything the same way. So this is what your track mixer looks like. And I'm going to kind of break it down here for you in terms of at least how it looks in Premiere. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to come up here to my source monitor. See, what I have over here is the audio clip mixer. I don't want this, actually. This is going to confuse you if you use this, so please do not use your audio clip mixer. I'm going to come over to my hamburger menu and I'm going to undock that, okay? And I'm going to get rid of it. And for this, I don't really need this. And, you know, now that I think about it, let's actually go on over to a workspace over here. Let's see what the audio workspace is. Remember, workspaces we can access right here. Let's see if the audio workspace is going to do us any good. Perfect. Okay, so, see, this is great, right? Because what happens is that Premiere realizes, okay, well, you're clearly doing audio, so you want the audio track mixer to be something that is prioritized for you. See, the clip mixer's here. I'm going to close that. Don't need that. I have my source panel here and any effect controls that I want to do to any clip here, but it prioritizes the audio track mixer. And of course, if I press tilde button under the escape key, it will make it full screen. Now, if you've ever seen a mixer in person, if you've ever attended an event and adjusted levels there, this should all look really familiar to you. So this is our audio track mixer. As you can see down here, A1, Don, A2, Ivan, everything that we've renamed is actually being, corresponded here. So everything that's in our track, we could see down here by each track. We could see the ones that we've muted and locked and not have as anything as our breaks. And our final mix, our last track, is always how everything all together sounds. Now up here, if you see this tiny little arrow, it says show hide effects and sends. Now, if I move that arrow down, if I collapse it, right, or if I expand it, we have the FX panel here that is divided by this line, and we have the send panel here, which divided, remember, this part up here and this part up here. And we have slots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And over here, we're not going to worry about this part for now. In fact, you're probably only going to really be using the FX because we're doing a basic audio editing. We're not audio editors. You have entire audio editing classes for this. We're going to do the basics that we can do within our program and not completely bog it down, but still make it sound really good. So this is where we can add effects and sends. Now I'll close this arrow. Over here you have microphones. So mine says my microphone, which is my Yeti. And it tells you, okay, well, what are you doing this to a mix? So we'll just leave that be. Next, we have a left and a right, which means this is your pan. If you move this, you're panning your audio to the right. You're panning your audio to the left if you're working with stereo. By default, don't touch that unless for some reason you want something to come completely out of the left channel or the right channel, which you might want to do, especially when you do surround sound. Utilize this. This is your left and right panel. Now over here is the different automation modes you can be on. In my slides, I break each of them down, but by default, you want to make sure you're on read because anything that you do, you want Premiere to be able to recognize it and apply it to your track. You don't want it to be off because anything you do won't get saved. So you want it to be on read. We have mute, we have solo, and we have record. We can do that all directly here on our audio track mixer. And this is our volume slider. So if I come over here to my rugby channel, which is A8, which is going to be right here, and I solo it.
So it's New South Wales just outside their own 22. Tries have been very hard to...
It's pretty damn loud, right? So what is the easiest thing to do is I could just come over here to my slider, to my volume slider for the whole track, and bring this down. And I'm going to slide this on down to by over here by -4, somewhere between -4 and -7. Now if I press play...
Phipps throws it back into the pocket. There's Foley with the kick.
It's much lower. Let's actually lower it even more because this is just background. We don't need it to be that loud. And I can see my levels over here is telling me what I'm lowering it to. I'm lowering it to about -8.9. Let's lower that to about -10 and play it.
There's Foley with the kick. Gonna come down around about
it's great. Okay, cool. So now if I unsolo this.
Good. He's an idiot.
Now, the only thing is that it sounds at an appropriate, volume for them watching TV, but it doesn't sound like a TV.
So it's New South Wales just outside their own 22. Lines have been very hard.
So this is what we could come on over to our essential sound panel. It's open over here, but let me close it so I can show you how to access it. So remember, these icons that get added, if you press that, it'll bring you to the Central Sound panel. And the Central Sound panel is right over here. It recognizes it as dialogue, right? If I clear audio type here, we see that it could either be dialogue, music, sound effects, or ambience. We're going to choose dialogue. And we're going to look at these presets here and see, okay, is there anything here that we can use? Ah, perfect. From the television. Well, let's hear how that sounds now.
Come by. Phipps throws it back into the pocket. There's Foley with the kick.
Now that's a lot better. I Except if I come over here and I look at my audio levels, again, let me solo it to listen.
Going to come down around about the halfway mark.
Completely raised my volume by adding this effect. So we're going to do this again. We're going to bring this down to about -20. Let's bring it to -22, actually. Let's hear how that sounds.
And Chris Kurandrani could return to the football and he knocks it on. And
Sounds better to me in terms of where it should be in a bed level. And now if I unsolo it, let me bring it to the beginning.
so it's New South Wales just outside their own 22. Tries have been very hard to come by. Phipps throws it back in.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good overall. Okay, so we got the rugby narration that we're performing this basic mix with. We got the hot tub over here that we've lowered. So right around here, Leroy is going to increase the bubbles, so we'll put keyframes to make this a little bit louder. We might even want to move that in because it doesn't get loud until about right here. And we might even want to increase the rugby over here. We could do that with keyframes.
That's a good scrum by the Waratahs.
Maybe lower our music, right? So now we're making sure, like, okay, well, what's most prominent? What do we want to see here? What's too loud? All that kind of stuff. So maybe you don't want to hear the rugby anymore. You want to completely close in on the music. That's up to you as well. All right, so that's how we're kind of leveling and mixing these guys'. But over here, when we have Ivan talking, let's listen to all of Ivan's tracks.
So what I miss?
Good, because he's an idiot.
Okay, so his good, he's an idiot.
Good, because he's an idiot.
Somewhere around -12, right? If I loop this, we'll really see that. So let's see if my loop button is here. There it is.
Good, because he's an idiot.
And
Because he's an idiot.
we don't really hear a lot of bubbles, but if I come over here,
So what I miss? So what I miss?
in this segment over here, he has a little bit more bubbles, you know, and he could be a little bit louder. So if we're comparing all the audio, that is going to be two of the things that we're going to worry about. And over here, too, when he says Don,
Hey, Don.
surprisingly, Ivan's coming in consistently around -12.
You want to try the bubbles?
Right, that one was more so -15. So maybe we want to raise him, right? Maybe he needs to be a little bit clearer. So this is when we want to right? Maybe this is when we want to start adding some effects to enhance their speech. So over here under Ivan's track, which is the one we have soloed right now, which is 2, we could come over here to the first slot and see what kind of effects we have. And we have a ton here. We have amplitude and compression, we have delay and echo, we have filter and EQs, modulation, noise reduction, right? So in this case, what we actually want to do is we want to add an EQ to it. We just want to boost his audio a little bit. And what I've done a lot when it comes to boosting audio is I've used something called the parametric equalizer. Now, again, this is something that we want to do across the entire track of Ivan. So that's why we're applying it to the track. Your gut might be telling you to maybe go to the effect window and type in something like parametric and then take it and drag it to the clip. But what happens is that will only get applied to this Ivan clip. The moment we come over here and I select this clip, notice how it's no longer on my effect control panel. But if I bring it over here and I select this clip, it is there. right? Because it's only doing it to the clip. The beautiful thing about the audio track mixer is that if I apply an effect on this track, it gets applied to the entire track and any clips that exist on this track. So that's why we've put Ivan on his own track. That's why we've put Leroy on his own track. That's why we put Moose, everybody. Because we know that Ivan talks pretty okay, but like he speaks at a good level and the mic picks him up. But the audio levels are inconsistent for everybody else. So we're going to have to boost everybody. So for Ivan over here, we just want to simply clean him up. We're going to come to his track. Again, go to Filter EQ and go to Parametric Equalizer. And there it is, right? And it's telling us, okay, right now it's at a low shelf frequency. So I'm going to double click it. Bam. There it is. Now, again, I'm not an audio editor professor, okay? I can't really break this down beautifully for you, but what I do have over here in the slides is kind of a little bit of how it works. So what this is you got amplitude on the y-axis and you got frequency on the x-axis. So what we're going to do is we're going to really look at the peak waveforms that we're getting out of Ivan and see where we can maybe either enhance or take away from them. Okay, so let's listen with our loop.
So what I miss? So what I miss?
Let's focus on what I miss.
So what I miss?
What's happened if I raise it over here by the 2?
So what I miss?
But let's see what happens if I bring it down.
So what I miss? So what I miss?
Now listen to this.
So what I miss?
Right? It almost sounds like we put him in like a box, but now it sounds like we got way too much wind coming in, and it sounds dirtier. So let's take this 3 and raise this a bit.
So what I miss?
And let's bring this down.
So what I miss?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a matter of playing with it. Now, what I like to do usually is I like to take right here, this is my high pass.
So what I miss?
And just by raising that a little bit, let's bring this back down.
So what I miss?
But if I bring it back over here,
So what I miss?
he almost sounds a little bit clearer, right? And now if I maybe just bring him up over here,
So what I miss?
he actually sounds a lot clearer. And if I put a high pass filter down here, that will cut anything.
So what I miss?
It's not bad. So now if I get rid of my loop, right, I clear it, and I listen to the rest of him.
Good, because he's an idiot.
Now, the problem now is that I've added a little bit of noise. So I'm going to want to get rid of that noise. I'm going to come to my second slot here, and I'm going to go to Noise Reduction and Restoration, and go to De-Noise. Double click it to activate it. And I have different ways that I can focus on it now. You're just going to want to keep the processing focus to be even, right? You want it to be focused on all frequencies. This one is like, do you want to target lower frequencies? Do you want it to be on mid, on higher and lower, or just higher frequencies? And you can target that. And when you get a little bit more comfortable with audio, or if you are someone like that, maybe you could decide that. But for now, let's stick to a 50% amount. And let's just keep it at the preset. We don't need it to be heavy or light, actually. In this case, let's actually use light, because it's not that much noise. So let's hear how Ivan sounds now with that on.
Good, because he's an idiot.
Sounds better. He doesn't sound as noisy now. Again, what if I toggle this off and I toggled that button off? So let's hear how that exact clip sounds with no denoise on it.
Good, because he's an idiot.
But if I put it back on,
Good, because he's an idiot.
it sounds a lot better. Okay, so you're going to have a lot of different effects that you're going to actually want to play around with. And for some of them, they might come in handy. But a lot of them will be more creative choices that you could do. Like, for instance, if you were to come over here and use reverb, that's how somebody would sound in a concert hall. I mean, this is a very simple film, you know, like, we don't need to be using anything too fancy. But the one thing that you're going to want to do is clean up a voice, excuse me, with parametric equalizer, and probably get rid of noise with what I would use is the denoise. And that's by using it, applying it to the track in the track mixer. Okay, so let's look at one other sequence here where there's a little bit more dialogue. So if I go to sequences and if I go to my cuts, I'll go to seed 8, right? I think seed 8 is going to be a good one. Okay, so right over here we have this a lot of discussion that happens between Ivan and Don. And action. All right, I'll use my cue to cut that.
So you decide to spoil yourself.
All right, Ivan on this track.
It's a retirement present. Ah,
Okay.
actually, it's a retirement present.
Cool, right? I don't know if you saw that, but I had two reactions of Ivan here. One here and one here. Listen.
Ah,
So I'm going to use my rolling edit tool, N, to roll that over so I don't hear the one before. Because I like this one a little bit better. Okay. First thing I'm going to do, though, is make a cut here and move this up to Don's track.
actually, it's a retirement present. Oh, well, congrats to you then. Not me.
Okay. Not me, it's from my wife.
Not me.
Move that up there.
Making up for all those forgotten Valentine's days, huh? So, is she about? Best if I show you this.
Okay, so obviously, let's use keyframes to fix issues. Like we said, this is one of the parts of it. I'm going to use this because I know right away this is way too loud, so I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. And I'm going to move this to Ivan because this is all Ivan. I'll use my rolling edit tool to make that somewhere in
What
between.
is she about? Best if I show you both how it work it. Yeah.
Can't believe these things are in the shot, I
How it
swear.
work it.
Okay, so this is Don.
Oh. Okay. Hey, where's your face cheek?
Okay, move this down to Moose. Okay. So we have all of Don and Ivan here. We're going to also probably go it over to sound. We're going to go to Toad. And we're going to find that moment of scene 7 background.
Crab.
Okay, so we'll add this as our Toad, right? Because we're going to patch it right there. They're going to be talking in the other room, and we're going to put that directly underneath while they're watching them build it, right? So we'll come right over there and end it because that's what about Leroy comes into the seed. Again, we'll go to our audio track mixer. We'll go to our tone over here, which is right there, and we'll lower it all to about -14. Yeah, I'll probably even lower it even more. Perfect.
So you decide to spoil yourself. Actually, it's a retirement.
Might even lower these guys a little bit more because they're a little too loud. So right when they start saying it, I'll bring this down to about -6.
So you decide to spoil yourself. Actually, it's a retirement.
They're still too loud. I'm gonna put them to -10. I swear. Ah, these guys.
So you decide to spoil yourself. Actually, it's a retirement present.
Okay, actually, it's a retirement present. Let's solo that.
Actually, it's a retirement present.
Look at that. He's at about -30. Now, comparatively, if we listen to Ivan, right? Let's go back here.
So you decide to spoil yourself.
That's about -15. And
oh, well, congrats to you then.
-9, right? But if we come back to Don, listen to him. Okay, so consistently he is way too low. So 1, 2. Let's hold down shift. I'm gonna add gain to this, right? I need to adjust the gain on him, so I'm gonna add that to about. We were at -30. He needs to be about -9, so that's about 20. Okay, so
it's a retirement present.
Okay, so he's getting better, but what do we hear, guys? We hear a lot of noise. So we're going to come up to our audio track mixer, and throughout the entire track, if we just do it to the track and not to each individual clip, we can make him lower. So we're going to come to this first one. We're going to go to noise reduction and go to denoise. Now for this one, we're going to do heavy. Let's see how that sounds.
Actually, it's every time impression.
It's a little too. Let's go to the low frequencies there.
Actually, it's every time impression.
Hmm.
Actually, it's every time impression.
It's a little bit better, right? But as we can hear, and what I did there was I focused on the higher frequencies. Now it's like, oh my gosh, we need to get rid of all that other noise. So let's go back to our filtered EQ and our parametric equalizer. And let's come here. First, I'm going to do a high pass filter, and I'm going to bring that in a little bit more.
It's every time impression.
And I'm going to higher this up a little bit. And let me start actually looping his audio so I can really focus on this. My loop button right there.
Actually, it's every time impression. 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 Actually, it's every time impression.
So I'm just playing around to see where it sounds the best. Now, the one thing I've realized is that I might have added a little too much gain. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to press G, and I'm going to take -5 away.
Actually, it's every time impression.
So now, I'm worried that we're getting a lot, because I was soloing that, and I'm worried that we were getting a lot of the camera audio of these guys talking in the background when they shouldn't have been. But let's just hear it.
So you decide to spoil yourself.
Actually, it's every time impression. Oh, well,
Still sounds pretty noisy. So let's come back to denoise. Let's go by a default, and let's just raise that up ourselves.
actually, it's every time impression. Oh, well, congrats to you then. No pains.
A little bit better.
Actually, it's every time impression.
This is when we're going to have to get creative, guys. You hear that? Something in the background. So let's use keyframes, because remember, one of the key things that we have to do here is we have to use keyframes to solve problems. And the problem that I'm hearing here is that he's so low that if I bring this down, I don't want to hear anything else in his track but when he talks.
Actually, it's every time impression.
The moment he's done saying present, we'll bring that down with keyframes.
Spoil yourself.
Actually, it's every time impression. Oh, well, congrats to you then.
Let's bring these down.
No pains.
Okay. So he sounds a little bit better, but he still could be a little clearer.
It's every time impression.
Right? I'm thinking maybe I have too much denoise on it. Let's hear it one more time.
Actually, it's every time.
One more time.
Actually, it's every time impression.
If I go back to my parametric EQ. In and out.
Actually, it's every time impression. 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 Okay, so again, the more I'm playing around with it, see, what I like to do is I like to move it around and hear when it sounds its worst. Because the worse that it sounds in one direction, I know that I'm going to move it down. And that maybe I need to cut it more on the low end, on the high frequency end, or the low frequency end. Again, it's really something that you got to play with. But the goal here is that we want to raise Don,
but we have to make sure that by raising him, we're not adding in all this other noise. So these are some of the tools that we're going to use to get rid of any additional noise. So let me clear my edit out, and let's hear it one more time.
So you decide to spoil yourself.
Actually, it's a retirement present.
Well, congrats to you then.
Not me. It's
Ah,
Now it's going to be tricky, right? But these are the ways that we're going to be able to boost Dodd without making them sound like, you know, just trash.
how it work it.
she's out.
See, the problem, right? And this is something that I want you guys to learn from, is that they actually had these guys talking in the background while Don was saying his lines. And Don is saying his lines incredibly low. Why would they do that? Why? Somebody tell me. That was not a good idea. Maybe we could find another one where they're not talking.
So she about?
No.
Best if I show you both how it work it.
Let's try and fake it from another one.
She's out.
But you could hear them. Oh my gosh, I hate the way they film this. How about this one?
She's out.
There, we might have to fake it from this guy. So let's grab this with an in and out.
She around? Best if I show both of you how it works.
Okay, in.
She's out.
Perfect. Let's drag that over here, since in my shot, right, we don't see him. We're seeing him from behind. Also, what I'm going to have to do is cut and go to my effect controls and zoom in to hide the boom shot, because the boom is very visible.
Best if I show you both how it work it.
She's out.
Cool. All right, so let's gain that up. Let's put 17 on that.
She's out.
Okay.
How it work it.
She's out.
Let's also bring down the levels when he's not talking. Oop, remember, that's an extra one there that brought that.
She's out. She's out.
Let's go back over here to my track mixer. Again, I am doing this to Don.
Yeah. She's out. She's out. She's out. She's out.
Cool. Okay, and I think this is a little too high for now. I'm going to bring this in.
She's out.
Okay. So we might have to get creative with using shots where, like idiots, they didn't have people actively talking and building something in the background.
Okay.
What's your nose cheek? I'll get Google for you.
Okay, obviously always constantly save, and like we've been doing, we're going to add filters to make any further adjustments. Now please feel free to use the essential sound panel. It's a pretty good option for you, except the problem with this is that you can't do it per track. You have to do it per clip, right? So if I'm like, okay, well over here I know that, you know, this is really bad, so I want to enhance this. Well, you have to wait until it does it, right? Right now it's preparing it, and it's very time consuming. Now it's going to take about, for a 5-second, not even clip, take no time. But if you want to do it for a 1-minute clip, good luck. But also, look at what it did there.
She's out.
That's terrible. You can't rely on the essential sound panel, because at the end of the day, it is brand new technology and it is AI, and AI can only help us to an extent. So feel free to use all the different things at your disposal, like the Essential Sound Panel and the audio track mixer, and do a mix of it to get the best results that you possibly can. Now, here's something that is big. We've been doing all of this, right? All of this so that we could add it all on our sequence called Final 4K. Let's go back really quick, actually, to editing, because I'm getting confused in this one. Okay. So if I go to my sequences, I know that my Final Cut is right here. Here it is. And I'm like, well, everything that I did over here in like scene 11, right? Let me unsolo that. Like all my rugby and my jacuzzi. Is that gonna come over here if I just bring it all in my sequence? Well, yes, it is. So let's do it like this, right? Scene 11. Let's just drag this in to show you. Notice how everything, and we're going to keep existing settings. Notice how everything here has been nested into one video and one audio. But if I come over here, listen. Every audio effect that we applied to our audio track mixer, everything we did with rugby, music, all of that is here. It's in this one here. And that's why we did the work individually in each scene, so that when you're done, it's just a matter of going, okay, scene 1 to 5. Keep existing settings. Scene 6, right after it, right? Scene 7. Scene 8. And you're going to be able to build your movie this way. And so that's why we kind of built it all, because as long as it was pretty universally the same for each track structure, that's going to help us when we start inputting it all this way. So what you're going to do at the end when you're completely done with the sequence, just to tell you one more time, is you're going to come over to your sequence bin. You're going to find the sequence that you cut it in. So for instance, scenes 1 through 5, this is completely cut and it looks good with your adjustment layers, with all of your audio done. Then all you got to do is drag that sequence into the SPA Final Cut. You're going to keep existing settings. And there you are. You can toggle your proxies off, and as a last ditch effort, what you're going to want to do for that, you can keep it on. It's not going to be the end of the world, but what I would do is select all, right click, proxy, and detach them. And that's it. They're gone. Now, if you don't want to, you could do a quick undo. I just did a quick undo and they're still there. So, and that's going to be the best method for getting this project done. So good luck. I hope you guys don't get sick. Reach out with any questions. Good luck on your quiz, and I will see you next week when you present your final projects to be.